If you hadn't already noticed, the holiday shopping season is here, but has the hustle and bustle of purchasing the perfect gift actually finally gotten totally out of control? That's today's question of the day. Mall madness, good for America, pumps up business, or is it out of control? Tell us what you think by calling 1-888-MSNBC-USA, and we'll put you on the air, or just vote on this question by calling 1-888-977-VOTE, and I'd love to see an email at opinion@msnbc.com. Audrey Guski is professor of marketing at Duquesne University in Pittsburgh. She joins us from that city to talk about the power of marketing and mall madness. Audrey, this is like the 13th month in a retailer's year. Has it gotten to the point where if people can't be propelled into this shopping madness for a month, the economy actually suffers?
Well, when you think about it, for retailers, it's a make or break season for them because half of their sales and half of their profits do come during this time.
Half?
Yes, at least half or more.
So why aren't they just closed in July and August?
Well, obviously people are still making purchases as well, but retailers are really pumping us up and trying to get us in the stores. This is Black Friday. This is a time where they're actually trying to turn over a profit. And so we can see that the stores are busy, the malls are hectic, and it's getting, I think, a little bit out of hand there.
Yeah, all right. Well, you tell me what you think out of hand is. I mean, you're watching this with the eye of a professional. How would you judge out of hand at this point?
Well, when you look at it, you've got a mall on almost every corner in America. You've got so many stores creeping up, and you've got people out there who are in a major panic today. They had to be there at 7 or even 6 in the morning at the stores to buy all these presents. And I think when you really think about it, you're losing a lot of the magic and what the holiday season is really supposed to be about.
Well, Audrey, let's just say that was gone a long time ago. And let's just say that we live in a world in which the nation's economy requires us to buy a bunch of stuff for our friends and our relatives and so forth. But has it gone just beyond that? I mean, you're talking about, I think you were hinting at sort of a compulsiveness and a kind of a mindless compulsiveness that goes beyond just doing your retailing part.
Yes, it's really a frenzy. And when you look at it, there is a serious problem with a significant number of people out there. 1 out of every 4 Americans has a shopping problem. We laugh about it because we say shop till you drop, and we think it's just part of the economy and part of being an American. But in reality, there's a significant number of people who really have a problem, just like drinking, alcohol, drugs, people who shop, and they're very compulsive.
But what's the problem? I mean, if they shop, so what? It's okay if they can make the payments, right?
It's okay if they make the payments. The problem is a lot of people are not able to make the payments. The credit is extremely high. It's at its highest level. And so for a lot of consumers, they don't have the discipline to really hold back. And they're buying products and services they necessarily don't need. We've reached a point where we as Americans have everything, most Americans have everything we need, but our wants are insatiable. We want more, we want more. And we've reached the point where enough is enough. And when you think about it...
Are you suggesting a Buy Nothing Day like that group in Seattle is promoting today?
Well, that's a bit strong, and when you think about it, the Buy Nothing Day is suggesting that we really hold back. But I think they're making a good point for a lot of us and suggesting we need to be a bit more conservative and perhaps watch our money and not necessarily go out compulsively. I look at a lot of the young people on a Friday or Saturday in the malls, and the young girls are out there spending and spending. And my daughter, who is going to be 12 shortly, watches a lot of these TV shows, which is suggesting rich is better, materialism is better. And in a way, it's very frightening for us as parents and frightening for us as an economy. What's happening? Are consumers getting out of hand? Are we spending more than we actually should and could?
Well, Audrey, the last question. What would stop them? If it's getting out of hand, what would actually stop them? Is it going to take a depression, or can some good counseling work?
I think what's happening is a lot of people are looking at it on their own and taking a better look at themselves and what's happening, and they are consciously volunteering to simplify their lives. They're trying to cut back, they're trying to conserve. I think part of it was the economy got a little bit slow toward the late 80s, and now that it's picked up again, I think the frenzy has started, but I think people learned their lessons from the 80s and are going to be cutting back on that.
Audrey Guski coming in and joining us on this, what amounts to a national holiday. It's a shopping holiday, so we appreciate it. I know you're giving up a mall, and you're going to stay with us a little while as we take some callers.
I will indeed.
One survey finds the average shopper will buy gifts for about 13 people this holiday season.
Thank you.
Stay there, Audrey. Our question of the day is mall madness. Is it good for America, or is it out of control. We want to know what you think, especially if you've been out of control today. If you have been out there flogging your plastic and are now having horrible feelings of guilt and second thoughts and wondering how the hell are you going to pay for it, call us. Our number is 1-888-MSNBC-USA. Also, vote on this by calling 1-888-977-VOTE and send me email at opinion@msnbc.com. We'll be tallying your votes on the question and give you the results in just a little bit. We are going to take a break. When we come back, Omar Wasso and Dennis Shea are here, and your calls are teed up. It's time to buy, even if you'll be in debt. News Chat, we'll be back in a minute. Stay with us. Good thought, and as Art Linkletter used to say, kids say the darndest thing. Welcome back to News Chat. Have you made out your gift list for this holiday season? You know, turkey was yesterday. That's gone. Get on with the gift list. You only have 27 days until Christmas, and our question of the day is, mall madness, is it good for America or is it out of control? We want to know what you think. We're taking your calls at 1-888-MSNBC-USA, taking your votes at 1-888-977-VOTE, and we have some special guests. Joining us again is Audrey Gusky of Duquesne University in Pittsburgh. With me here in the newsroom are two of our contributors, Omar Wasso, president of New York Online, and Dennis Shea, a former advisor to Bob Dole. And on the phone, I want to go to the callers right away because I think Omar and Dennis are a little perplexed by this. Neither one of you were in a mall today, right?
No, stayed away.
Stayed away.
Stayed away.
How close to Christmas will it be before you hit a mall?
The 23rd.
23rd?
Right.
I'm doing everything mail order.
Mail order.
Magazine subscriptions, keeping it easy.
Linda in New York, is mall madness good for America, or are we totally around the bend out of control?
Totally out of control. I'm basically a single parent. I have at least 6 credit cards. I have one son at home, and he basically wants a Nintendo 64 and a TV. That's going to cost me about $600 just for 2 items. And, you know, I'm going to have to worry about paying these credit cards. Plus, my taxes are due in January. So I'm going to be doing a lot of hustling here.
Well, but there's an important lesson here, which is that nobody puts a gun to your head and says you have to get these gifts.
Well,
for
that's
people.
what that kid's doing to her right now. Your kid comes and says, "Mommy, I want that Nintendo."
I wanted lots of things. I didn't get everything I asked for, and that's an important lesson also.
Right.
That your parents have some discipline, and that you don't get everything in life.
All right. So, Linda, you hear these two moralizers telling you should.
Omar's moralizing.
Well,
you said you agreed with him. I heard you, Dennis.
I agree with him, but she should just say no.
Audrey, give Linda some advice. How does she tell little Junior, you know, Nintendo
14 years old.
Oh, well, he's 14 years old. Nintendo 64 is out gouging parents like me around the country. We just can't do it this year.
It's a tough situation, Linda. I completely understand what you're going through. There's so much peer pressure out there now that it's hard to just say, I'm sorry we can't afford it, or I'm sorry you don't want it. Advice is try to work with your child and see if there's any way you can actually discuss the particular products and maybe get something a little bit less expensive. You need to work with them now before they reach really their teen years.
Well, he's 14.
The
He's
other
14.
issue is you don't want to spoil kids. If kids get everything they want in life, then like they get screwed up.
How many kids do you have?
All
right. Linda, good luck.
Oh, thanks.
Thanks very much. Mary in Kansas. Mary, it's mall madness, good for America like buying war bonds, or out of control like a bunch of heroin addicts with credit cards?
I think it's out of control totally. This morning they had the local Walmart, which is the only big store within 60 miles, had sent out a flyer, and they had computers for $9.98, and my son's going to college. My husband has real bad heart trouble. I get up at 5 o'clock to get in there, and at 6:05 they've sold out. They had 13 total. I was furious. I have never been one to get up on Thanksgiving, the day after Thanksgiving, to go shopping anyway. And I
can't
was
believe
furious.
Sam Walton would do that to you. News Chat, we'll be back in a moment. Call us, we'll put you on the air. I can't imagine that's actually true. Our question of the day, mall madness, good for America. Everybody's out there buying. Audrey Gusky told us 50% of the profits for most retailers is this month. Or is it totally out of control? Call us at 1-888-MSNBC-USA. Vote by calling 1-888-977-VOTE. And before I go to Jim in Pennsylvania, Jim, hang on just a second. Omar has a startling statistic.
But well, I think there's one thing. There was an important point that this young woman made about how we need to be giving more and thinking about other people.
Right.
And if you combine the time donated by people and the cash contributions people make, Americans donate more than $300 billion annually to charitable causes.
You know what that's inflated? I know all about these charitable cause receipts. And, you know, you give away this pile of junk car, and it's worth $3,000 because the IRS will credit.
$125 billion of actual contributions, $176 billion of time donated.
Dennis.
I don't have a statistic, but I have a story. I just put down a book.
How long is the story
It's
gonna
real
take?
quick. I just put down a book that described how Warren Buffett, the second richest man in America, went to China with the richest man in America, Bill Gates, and they went to McDonald's in Beijing, and Warren Buffett pulls out discount coupons. So if he can do it, I don't blame people in America trying to find discounts.
One share of Berkshire Hathaway, it's worth 40 grand. One single share. All right, Jim in Pennsylvania. Jim?
Hi.
How you doing?
Good. I think that this is typically American. I think we govern ourselves. I think that what we're doing is what we've done in the past. I think America has the residual right, and in effect, we take care of ourselves. If we overdo things, we somehow bring it all into balance. But I have great confidence in America. I have great confidence in the way it's going. I think that we have, the economy is good, people are working, and I think they want to share that with their families.
Exactly.
Well, it is good. No, Jim, you're absolutely right about the economy is good, and people do get lulled into a false sense of security when the economy is good. I was around to watch it
But it's
crash.
not a false sense of security. The economy is booming.
You know what?
We do have
it's
a low...
cyclical. You always say that. It's cyclical. It's going down sometime.
People are making of their own free will decisions to spend money and buy gifts for their friends.
We're going to take a break. When we come back, more of your calls. Mall madness, good for America, as Omar says, or out of control. Call us, we'll put you on the air. Yeah, I lost my job in July, and I'm already horribly in debt, but I usually very carefully choose a gift for each person, oftentimes well in advance. And when my money runs out, tough. Well, Cornelia, you will get another job, you will get out of debt, and you will do well if you stick to that. Our news chat question of the day, Mall Madness. If you haven't seen it today, surely you've heard about it. We have an actual fact here that 75% of Americans are in a mall today. I'm just kidding, that's not a fact. But they're all out there. Is this good for America, or is this totally out of control? We have with us Audrey Gusky of Duquesne University in Pittsburgh, and our contributors Omar Wasso and Dennis Shea. And on the phone is Jerry in New Mexico. Jerry?
Yes, hello. I was just outed to the mall earlier today, and I noticed that there was a lot of people out there, and I was just there last weekend, and there was hardly anybody there. What I want to know is, the stores want to make more money. Why don't they extend the shopping season before Thanksgiving?
Oh, God, Jerry. Oh, Jerry.
It'll be like a presidential election. We'll start a year and a half in advance.
Well, it's already all the way to Halloween. I mean, how far back do you want it to go? The 4th of July?
Well, no, I didn't say that, but there are Christmas stores open year-round here. I've seen 3 of them here already.
You know, I was just in Albuquerque, Jerry, and I'll tell you, I did Christmas shopping without setting foot in the mall. You get those nice blankets, you get all those nice handicrafts. You shouldn't have any mall madness in Albuquerque.
No, but there has to be some sociological reason why everyone goes shopping.
All right, let me ask you, Jerry, and Omar will answer for you. Is it the lemming effect? Is it simply because everyone else is going to do it, so we all just run off like little lemmings off the cliff? Omar?
Combination of both.
No, I'm sure the shops would love to have a 6-month Christmas season. The reality is that people, are busy, and that this is when they shop, and this is what's convenient. And the important point here is that this is what people choose. People don't, there's not some like...
You don't believe that people are compelled by social forces to do things? You think everything is a free choice?
I think that people are shopping...
Locke, is that it?
You're getting a little too highfalutin here.
All right.
People are out there buying gifts for their family because they want to, and that this idea that there's something, 1 in 4 people
Audrey, is that true?
Have an addiction I've never heard that before.
Audrey, is that true?
Yes, it's true. What's happening is, you're exactly right. There are people out there, I think it's a sociological thing. People are being compelled to shop. It's the thing to do. You eat turkey on Thursday.
Omar wants some data. Have you ever heard any of that? Have you ever seen any studies
Where's that 1 in 4 people become addicts? Where's that from?
That's from studies that they've actually conducted. So
Who's
1 out of
they?
4 people do have problems.
Marketing PhDs like Audrey at
Okay.
Duquesne University. See, these are very skeptical guys here, Audrey. Look, they're totally in control. These guys are totally in control. They
I
have
would
no
advise-
compulsiveness in their life.
I differ with Omar in the sense that I don't necessarily think this shopping madness is such a great thing. First, it's definitely good for retailers. It's good for people who work for retailers. It's good for shareholders in companies that do retail business.
And how about all the
but
people
it's not
who-
necessarily good in the macro sense for America because we have one of the lowest savings rates in the West.
And the reason we have a low saving rate is because we've got a terrible social security
So
system.
what would happen if you,
But
would
I
you
think this
then
compulsion
recommend
thing
that?
is sort of ridiculous as well. I mean, I know I don't shop, but when my family went to Thanksgiving in Pennsylvania, the whole family got together on Friday and said, let's go to the mall. And we used to do that. I never felt compelled to do that, but it was a thing to do. You had the day off, and family members were
The
together.
one important point. The one important point
No.
is that people do need to keep sight of the fact that what's wonderful about Christmas is that you get to spend time with your family. That you can actually have sort of both spiritual and familial things. And but giving gifts doesn't take away from that.
Kathleen in Rhode Island. Kathleen?
Hello?
Kathleen, are you with me?
Yes, I am. Good evening.
Madness or out of control or what?
Well, I apologize in advance if this sounds like I'm calling from Walton's Mountain, but you mentioned that the true spirit of the season was lost long ago, and I think in this country you're probably right. But despite being a boost to the American economy, this sort of feverish seasonal gift buying seems at the personal risk of not only our spiritual well-being, but also financial hardship at a personal level. As Dennis said, I mean, it's great for retailers, but on the street level, perhaps even personal financial ruin for those who either aren't intelligent enough or strong-willed enough to not buy into this pressure of spending money they don't have. On your programming today, earlier this morning, I was struck when a shopper in a New Jersey mall was being interviewed about shopping, and he said that he readily admitted he would probably be spending around $3,000 this season on gifts. Now, that would pay my mortgage for 4 months, so I was pretty appalled. But and then he went on to talk about people he bought for, and the interviewer asked, had he bought things for his wife, and he said, oh, she's done. And he said it, I mean, it was so cold and frantic, there was no joy, no sense of the true spirit.
Well, but I bet you there's a lot of joy.
I got to take a break. I'll just tell you, though, going out here before we get to Omar's a lot of joy after the break, most people think it's going to take them 4 months to pay off Christmas. The experts say it actually takes 6. Mall madness, good for America or out of control? Your calls right after this break.
Jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh.
Okay, buddy. We are talking about holiday shopping. Our news chat question of the day, mall madness. It's not a question of is there mall madness. We know there is. Is it good for America or is it out of control? We're taking your calls at 1-888-MSNBC-USA. And you can vote because there's still a couple of minutes, 1-888-977-VOTE. Again, Audrey Gusky is with us, as well as Omar Wasso and Dennis Shea, and Rhonda in New York is on the phone. Rhonda?
Hi there.
Hi.
I totally agree that it is out of control. I mean, here in New York City, I began seeing the Christmas decorations around Halloween.
Right.
And I just thought that was crazy.
Yeah, that jack-o'-lantern with the Christmas lights on it looks really good, doesn't it?
Yeah, right. I mean, I guess that's going to be an ornament on the Christmas trees this year. I also really related to that mother who has that expense with the computer game.
Yeah.
Because I was talking with some cousins of mine, and their kids were, kind of left behind when they didn't keep their kids up to date with all the latest computer games because their kids couldn't practice and they weren't competitive and fast enough.
And maybe they had to read instead.
So yeah,
what a burden.
It's really it's a problem I understand, and I think the same thing is true on the compulsive shopping and the compulsive spending. If you don't feel filled up inside, if you feel your self-worth or self-esteem is tied into your possessions, then you are compelled in order to maintain some sense of self.
Rhonda, have you met Omar?
Shop.
Have you met Omar?
No.
Omar.
Hi, Rhonda. I'm
Hi,
also
Omar.
from New York. I think it's an interesting sort of reflection in that we as a society think of trauma as people sort of shop too much. Or, in other parts of the world, being hungry is considered a terrible thing, or being homeless. But here, having being compelled to shop is trauma. And I would argue, and I'm going to go on a limb here, that that's a reflection of, in fact, how affluent our society is.
Sure. No problem. I mean, I agree with you. This is a very affluent society. We are suffering the problems of the affluent, whatever they happen to be. We're too fat. We owe too much money. All those kinds of things. Tricia in Florida. Tricia?
Good evening.
Hi.
I think it's totally out of control.
Well,
Madness,
you know, it's unanimous so far. It's unanimous.
Lack of responsibility. What are we teaching our children? We can't afford it, so we go out and buy them a computer, as my daughter did, and she can't afford it, for my one granddaughter.
Yeah, right.
But and then the stress
but your daughter was feeling
guilt
that your granddaughter didn't have a computer because she was going to be left behind all the other little munchkins who were unixing their way into the future and leaving her behind to be homeless and destitute.
We can go to a library.
Yeah.
We can read books.
Right.
There's many things. When I was a kid, I got pajamas and, if I was lucky, a bathrobe.
Tricia, what year were you a kid?
Well, I'm 62.
Uh-huh.
So when I raised my children, I was, you know, much better off.
But you were a Depression-era kid, right?
And, you know, it was better. My children got much more than I did.
Yeah.
But not to a point that where they are today, and I see it all over the place. They teach their children irresponsibility.
Yeah. Well, that may be, but we teach, you know, our children irresponsibility in a lot of ways. Well, why not a way that contributes to the overall good of the economy? Do we have the poll results yet? Are they ready yet? Let's put them up and see. The phone poll, good for America, 47%, out of control, 53%. What's interesting about this is all of our callers have said out of control. So what could be close to a silent majority is out there having plumped up on yesterday's dinner and fattened up their debt load today at the mall, are now saying this is good for America. I'm doing my part. Good deal. Call us right after this break. We want you on the air. Mall madness, is it good for America or is it out of control? Most people said out of control, but a shockingly high number said good for America. We'll be right back.
Gay apparel, fa la 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 la. Troll the ancient Yuletide carol, fa la la la.
And I think that a lot of people focus a lot on we have to spend so much amount of money on certain folks to make them happy, when it's really just the act of all family members coming together to enjoy a special day and just to enjoy the loving and the caring that they've had throughout the year.
Angie there has her head screwed on right. Welcome back to News Chat. The last couple of minutes of your calls on mall madness. Is it good for America or is it out of control? LaTanya in Illinois, what do you think?
Control. You have people that get up early in the morning just to go stand outside before daylight, to wait to get into a store to get what they perceive to be a bargain.
Well, LaTanya, what part of Illinois are you in?
I'm in Chicago.
Now, if the Bears were, you know, in the Super Bowl or some playoff game, you know that people would be out there early in the morning waiting for tickets, right?
Yeah, but that's a sport. That's different. That's something that you can enjoy. But to go out to buy gifts for people, half the time people are buying gifts from people they don't even like. And some of these people that get out to go shopping at 4 o'clock in the morning can't even get to work on time.
Yeah, you bring up an interesting point, the fact that it's a sport, because in the past shopping used to be recreational, used to be fun, used to be enjoyable. Malls became a social setting where people would take their families. But it's reached the point, I think, now where it's a panic, it's a frenzy, and people are feeling compelled and forced to really spend money.
Let's see what Nan in Illinois has to say. Nan?
I think it's totally out of control.
This has been unanimous so far, although the phone callers don't agree. All right, but what do you think we ought to do about it, Nan?
I think the whole tradition of it, there's no meaning there. I'm coming from a younger generation where I liked it best when we were getting gifts as food items, homemade items that were well appreciated. I think now seeing the kids, I think, yes, they do need computers in their lives, but I think what about when my younger years, I had to save up for the things that I needed, either for school or things that I wanted to learn to appreciate it.
It's tough raising kids these days, Nan. Nan, thanks a lot. Thanks to Audrey Gusky, Omar Wasso, Dennis Shea. That does it for News Chat. Thanks for calling. Up next, a special Time and Again with